Your nervous system is keeping you from communicating your needs. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com. We've all had that moment. We know what we need to say. We're looking for just the right moment to be able to say it. You've had the conversations in your head, and you get the opportunity, and your body shuts down. You say nothing. Why didn't I just say what I needed? It's not a communication problem as much as it is a nervous system problem. We've talked about how your nervous system has one job: keep you safe. Your nervous system is not wondering what would be healthy to say in this moment. Your nervous system is saying what will keep me safe in this relationship. And depending on your attachment wiring, speaking your needs can feel anywhere from a little bit uncomfortable to flat out terrifying. Somatically, remember we talked about that with your chest tightening up or your stomach knots up. Your body is reacting like it's under threat because historically it was. Remember, we talked about this in the last few podcasts, how your nervous system learned that you learned about what relationship is before you were able to even understand it, because it goes back to your childhood. As kids, we didn't learn attachment intellectually. We learned it through sensation, through feeling. And so your nervous system somatically tracked, what happens when I express a need? Am I heard, understood? Do I get comfort or do I get rejection? Do I get soothed or am I dismissed? And that's tough. Your nervous system keeps track. We talked about how it's stored in the body. If you get closeness or you get punishment or withdrawal. And based on those repeated experiences, your body formed a survival pattern. And I've been talking about this with this podcast series on the nervous system, that this is not conscious. This is all subconscious. It's happening in the body somatically. When you speak your needs, your body is telling you that connection is unsafe. And from that point, your nervous system kicks into protection mode. It's not necessarily due to conflict per se, but it is attachment danger. That's why adult communication triggers childhood survival reflexes. Even when nothing objectively dangerous is happening in that moment, your nervous system doesn't see it that way, because your nervous system is not thinking rationally, consciously. It's in pure survival mode. That's what attachment styles are. When you think about it, we talked about dismissive avoidant attachment and anxious preoccupied attachment. Those are nervous system strategies. That's survival mechanisms that your nervous system learned to preserve connection under stress. And so each attachment style will experience circumstances differently when speaking needs. A lot of times that's where guys start to realize that, oh, that's me right there. And if I'm anxious preoccupied, my nervous system is saying, if I say this wrong, I will lose that person. If you lean anxious, your nervous system equates need expression with abandonment risk. Instead of saying, I feel disconnected, I want more closeness, your body says, don't piss her off, don't make her mad, don't rock the boat, don't do anything to disrupt this equilibrium, the status quo. And that's how you end up over-explaining and over-apologizing and watering down your needs, looking for reassurance instead of clarity. It's your nervous system. It's trying to prevent loss. And because silence once preserved connection, your body still uses that strategy, and it keeps you from communicating what your needs are. And that's true even for the dismissive avoidant wife. If you remember from our podcast series on dismissive avoidant wives, your needs create an overwhelming sensation in their nervous system. For them, if they lean dismissive avoidance, speaking needs is overwhelming. Their nervous system learned that needs aren't safe or effective, and so they shut down. They minimize. So it's happening on both sides. Not being able to communicate your needs is totally rooted in your nervous system, no matter whether you're anxious preoccupied, fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant. Vulnerability, for them, once meant shame and criticism, so they detach. And the fearful avoidant, most of the guys that I talk to are going to be fearful avoidant that lean more towards the anxious side because they generally have a dismissive avoidant wife. And if you're fearful avoidant that leans anxious, you'll know that because you push and you pull. your system's running conflicting survival commands because part of you wants to come in and communicate your needs. And then there's another side of you that says, wait a minute, this is dangerous, this is threat. And so you go back and forth. You speak up, then you panic, then you retreat and withdraw. You feel abandoned, then you go back into pursual mode. I'm going to do another podcast series actually on fearful avoidance because there's a lot of similarities between a fearful avoidant man and an anxious preoccupied man, but they come from two completely different backgrounds. But your nervous system, again, isn't making decisions on this. It's working off of these survival maps. Expressing your needs becomes emotionally dangerous. Your body's trying to solve threats in real time. And it's this threat that causes the hesitation when you're ready to speak up. That moment right before you speak, that's a nervous system event. It's physiological. It's not conscious. Your nervous system is scanning and start feeling your heart rate kicking up, your tightness in your chest, that short breath, your muscles are tightening. It interprets that activation as threat. When your system moves into that threat mode, your capacity for calm communication drops. Remember, there's 4 threat states that prioritize survival behaviors. You have your fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. If you fight, that's that defensiveness. If you flight, that's where you withdraw. It's the avoidance. Freeze, that's where you just go, you silence. And then fawn, appeasement. That's where you see a lot of the anxious preoccupied men. None of those are designed for healthy need expression. They're designed to keep attachment intact, even if it costs you your truth. And your brain is justifying this silence because once your nervous system chooses safety, now your mind is going to create a narrative that matches that. They won't understand. This will just make things worse. It's not worth disrupting the hornet's nest to talk about it. These thoughts feel logical, but it's survival reflex. Remember, your nervous system makes decisions faster than your conscious mind does. And then your conscious mind kind of decodes all of that afterwards and creates a narrative. That's why insight alone doesn't fix a communication needs problem. That's why you got to do the nervous system work to learn to regulate. Because your body, I mentioned it in the last podcast, it's still running on an old model, create safety. Because all those attachment styles, they're going to filter these situations through an expectation. If you have an anxious, preoccupied man, their filter is going to be like they might leave. An avoidant is going to be like, whoa, this is too much. If you're fearful, something's wrong. But see, if you're secure, then your nervous system will be regulated. You're able to actually say, here's my needs. I think we can work through this. Again, these are not thoughts that you choose. They're the interpretations that your nervous system goes right to. When you do go and speak your needs, your filter is going to shape what feels safe. And most men are reacting to a nervous system survival story and not reality. And those important needs to communicate don't get said. Don't beat yourself up. As always, I tell you these things out of love, not shame, blame, or guilt. It's just that speaking needs feels risky because at one time in your life it was. You have to have self-compassion. That's where you have that dialogue with your inner child inside. Let him know, hey, little guy, I love you. I'm here for you. You don't have to earn love anymore. And you connect with that divine guidance, that source of unconditional love, inherent self-worth. You start to learn that I'm loved. No matter what, I can give myself self-compassion and not beat myself up for struggling to communicate needs. Because when you were younger, speaking those needs led to punishment or dismissal or withdrawal, sometimes chaos depending on your upbringing and your family situation. But your nervous system adapted. It learned that silence protects connection. It's an adaptation. But now that same strategy creates resentment and disconnection and confusion. Because adult relationships require the very thing your body learned to avoid, authentic expression. Healing starts with just noticing. The first step in the Secure Husband process, just notice. Awareness. What is my body afraid will happen if I speak up? I'm not talking intellectually. I'm talking somatically. What will I feel Fear of rejection? Fear of conflict? Overwhelm? Fear of betrayal? What is your nervous system telling you? I mean, your nervous system isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to preserve connection based on safety, based on outdated information. The moment you recognize that and you stop fighting yourself and start listening to your body, then that's where you start to understand what is keeping you from communicating your needs. What happens when you just pause and notice? Notice the sensation. Notice it in your chest, in your stomach, or in your throat, or wherever, the next time that you want to speak your needs. And then just breathe into it. Take a deep, deep breath. If you're right there in front of your spouse, you could still do this without making a big production of it. Just take a deep breath and exhale. And just tell yourself, my body right now thinks this is a threat. That simple acknowledgement brings your prefrontal cortex back online. Because right now, your lizard brain, your amygdala is firing. Your nervous system is running the show. When you can just breathe into it, sit with the discomfort, just acknowledge, I'm feeling this in my body. It feels threatening. And then you can tell your nervous system, hey, I see you. We're safe. That's that inner child inside, that little boy. Hey, little guy, I see you. We're safe. And in that moment of regulation, that's where you can authentically communicate. But you have to create safety first internally. Because your nervous system doesn't know the difference between discomfort and danger. Speaking a need feels uncomfortable, so your system reads danger. But discomfort's not a threat. It's growth. Think about when you go to the gym. You have to put your the muscle fibers, under tension for growth. So the more your nervous system learns that I can speak, still be connected through the feelings, then eventually the less activated you'll feel. That's that neuroplasticity we talk about. In the brain, it's that rewiring. You're updating your survival wiring. Because a secure husband didn't just magically become calm. His nervous system learned that connection can survive truth and honesty and authenticity. And when activation rises, he can regulate first, then speak. He doesn't have to suppress fear. He just moves right through it. That's a trainable skill. You can learn that. Nervous system regulation is so important, and we're going to talk more about that in this podcast series about tools that you can use to help train your nervous system. But for right now, just notice that hesitation. Notice what you're feeling when you want to communicate your needs, when you want to speak your truth. My nervous system is protecting me right now. I can sense it. I can feel it. Thank it. Thank you, nervous system, for keeping me safe. But you know what? I got this. We're safe now. And then you can say, what's the cleanest, kindest way to express this need? Now you're moving from survival reaction to intentional communication, not by overpowering your system and bullying your nervous system, but by working with it. You were just conditioned that speaking your needs was scary. It doesn't make you a weak person. It doesn't mean you're a failure as a husband. It just means your nervous system learned that vulnerability was tied to risk and threat, and it's been protecting you ever since. And you're no longer that little boy inside, navigating the unpredictable connections. You are now an adult, capable of creating safety inside your own body, inside your relationships. Every time you pause and regulate, and then speak your truth anyway, you teach your nervous system that, look, truth and connection can coexist. I can do this. I can stay grounded. That's how you build self-trust. And that's how the shift happens within these attachment styles. It's when you're able to speak your truth through safety. I hope this podcast was helpful for you. If you're a new listener, would you hit that subscribe button? Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. And if you're a regular listener, would you give me a review? I'd appreciate that. And if you need accountability, somebody to hold your feet to the fire, I encourage you visit securehusband.com. Fill out that form for a free 30-minute consultation just to see if one-on-one coaching might be beneficial for you. And I'll see you on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.